Now everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I'm gonna go through NVDA here and maybe a few of the semiconductor stocks here real quick. The monthly chart NVIDIA is still looking very bullish overall, even though these look like some pretty toppy kind of tweezer top look kind of here. But this month you have a very nice dragonfly candle so far. Again, you still have another couple weeks before the month closes. So far, the monthly candle does not look bad at all, and this looked like it might want to continue. The reason why I say that is because it has simply just backtested the monthly Tenkan. Now, this is a bull market behavior. Whenever you have a bull market, especially for a stock like NVIDIA, it rides the blue line, rides the Tenkan on the way up. And this is exactly what it's been doing. It's just been riding blue line up here during the bull market, riding blue line up here in the bull market. Whenever things get a little bit too far overextended from the blue line, you might correct through time, or sometimes you might end up correcting through price, right? And sometimes it can go spend 6 months and it just keeps going up higher and doesn't really care. And then eventually you're going to end up getting punished for it. But generally, like a bull market, if it gets a little bit too far from the blue line, it goes sideways, right? So I was initially a little bit like same thing here, like back in June 2023, and we went sideways here for about half a year before another big leg up, right? So because we did get a little bit too far extended over here around June, I was a little bit concerned. I was like, yeah, it might go sideways. Next thing you know, it did end up going sideways here. But a very good thing actually already came back down and back tested the Tenkan here. This is actually a bullish development because if it ends just going sideways, it might be a little bit more exhausted because it already came back down and touched it. I think that technically it allows price to go up potentially a lot higher because it already tested a very important level down here, and it held, which is a very important bullish development. On the weekly chart, you can also see that it's been reclaiming back some of these levels over here in Tenkan Kijun. Even though it broken beneath that last week, it ended up closing back above the Kijun over here. And so far, the week is not over. We still have a couple days left on the week, but already trying to reclaim here the Tenkan here as well. So all of these are pretty positive. It doesn't really have much of a wick over here, maybe a little tiny wick over here. So if it ends up closing the week with like no wick, then again, there's no reason to necessarily believe that to be the case. But we get another one of this candle over here with like no wick at all. This is something called a Marubosu candle, basically a big giant candle with no wick that tells you that most likely it's going to end up having trend continuation and go up, to whatever the trend has been, right? If it was a green Marubosu candle, it's probably going to be end up green next week, and if it's a red candle, it's probably going to be a red next week, right? So far so good. We'll see how the week closes. Maybe I'm just being a little bit, like too bullish ahead of time because this candle's not even closed yet. But if it closes about the blue line, good thing maybe to come, right? And again, the monthly chart is looking pretty good. Another thing too, like wells are still in. The bull cycle really for NVIDIA, it doesn't really end unless if you have more like retail sentiment, unless you start seeing greens over here. You start seeing greens over here, yeah, maybe a little bit more worried, but sometimes you see green here, it doesn't mean that it's the top of the cycle, right? But so far, there's not really any indication to say that NVIDIA's bull trend is done. Now, with that said, I am a little bit worried that it might start to get a little bit exhausted. What I meant by exhaustion is that I don't think it's priced going to necessarily make another 10x from here, like it did already from October 2022 to here. We already made like a 10x, right? I don't think it's going to be another 10x from here moving forward. I think the trend's going to get a little bit exhausted here from here on out because if you look at the Bollinger Band, whenever you start having a bull trend that's very explosive, you have the low Bollinger Band that goes all the way down to the bottom, right? This is something I generally like to look at. And whenever you start to have a little bit more of a contraction of the low Bollinger Band, in this case around June 2024, that's when I start to think that might be the inflection point that maybe you start to have a little bit of trend exhaustion over here, right? And unless if the low Bollinger Band continues to expand, if price just goes up to like 200 over the next, by the end of the year, then I can see it potentially expanding further. And if that's the case, then you don't have a trend exhaustion, right? But it simply looks like we might be getting a little bit of trend exhaustion here because I just have a hard time seeing it goes up to like 200 to like close the year. I mean, if it does that, wow, then yeah, the bull trend is still maybe not exhausted quite just yet. Over here, I think the bull trend exhausted right around here, September 2020, whenever Bollinger Band stops expanding down underneath and starts contracting, even though the price can either go up for like another 3x or so, the trend probably exhausted right here, and it right here, right? And same thing over here, whenever I think it was like January 2017 was when the low Bollinger Band starts to turn around over here. And it really never really truly expanded further. And around January 2017 is like this can over here, just gone sideways. Trend exhausted, went up and make another like 2.5, 3x, but never really gone up that far. So where do I see price going moving forward? I can potentially see it making another like 3x, maybe even like 3.5x to like 400. I think that probably might be it for the cycle, and it'll still be some pretty significant gain to be had. Unless if price continue to just explode to like 200 by the end of the year, then I might change my mind. But yeah, NVIDIA still bullish. I'm not bearish on it. Still very bullish on it overall. The other couple of stocks now, yeah, the other couple of stocks I want to talk about that are in the related sectors, AMD. Actually, before I go on about AMD, I want to talk about NVIDIA here. The whole idea is NVIDIA has been following these it's been following these linear extension Fibonacci extension levels pretty much to the T. Got rejected here 1.618. Got rejected here 3.618. So far breaking above, back testing some of the levels down underneath. Right, initially got rejected here at the 4.236. So I think these linear levels may no longer be valid. I'm going to look at log here, and I can totally see it hitting 2.618. Do I think it's going to hit like 700? I have a hard time seeing that, but that would be a natural level that it can potentially go to. But I'm seeing a little bit more of like a mutant, maybe like break above, maybe like consolidating here and then just go down, or maybe just that's kind of what I'm seeing. Like unless the price proves me wrong and just continue the bull trend up, then I cannot be that bearish on it. But so far, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So that's NVIDIA. I'm going to go talk about a couple of semiconductor stocks here. Just real quick, AMD. I cannot be that bearish on the trend here. You have a cup and handle, and you have a breakout, and you have a back test. Looking at the volume, breakout is on high volume. Back test is on low volume. So all of this is like, non-committal selling, meaning that, yeah, they're sellers, but you just basically have a little bit of a buyer strike because people who bought into profits, they don't want to come back quite just yet until price gets attractive, right? And price was attractive around 120s. You can see that big, nice hammer candle over here, which tells you there's a lot of demand for AMD right around that level. And if you also put up some of the other indicators I generally look at, like the Ichimoku, you are really closing not closing, the month's still early. You still have another 2 weeks, but so far it's a hammer candle with price kind of right at the kitchen, at the red line over here, as potential support. Initially I thought, yeah, there's a possibility to hit the cloud down here like 113, but it seemed like it was just respecting this horizontal level like right here instead of going back down to a little bit further level down here. So that's fine. Back testing, nice hammer. Let's see if the month closer to hammer. So far so good. Like I'm not really seeing anything bearish on this chart, with the exception that it was bearish over the last 6 months, sure, but that's just a little bit like a short-term downtrend, right? This whole thing looks still like a very, very nice channel looking upwards. You've also looked at the Bollinger Band, the 20-month moving average is still pointing up. And back test the 20-month moving average that's rising here very nicely. Tapped it, found support, found demand. Also a confluent between the 20-month here as well as the horizontal zone over here. On top of all that, you also have a little bit of a VWAP, get really close to. VWAP is the volume weighted average price. It's just basically tell you like the average price that the holders are they're mostly on profit right now. So if they're in profit, they're less likely to want to sell because they think price is going to go up higher. So right now the price is about their VWAP, which is generally a positive indication here as well. It's just completely ABC correction. Like so far, there's really nothing bearish about AMD because it's been forming higher highs and higher lows. And I like the entry at 120s. I didn't get into this stock, but I think that would have been a very nice entry. Not financial advice. Good stock. TSM, very bullish. What you're really seeing for TSM is it's gone on upwards for like 8 months straight, and it's finally cooling down and found a big giant hammer here. Like, how can I be bearish on this chart? Except for the fact it's overextended, right? I don't like to buy things that are overextended, but it looks pretty good. Like it's way above the upper Bollinger Band. Can it correct a little bit further? Sure. Sideways, potentially, right? It might need some additional time to kind of digest this big giant bullish move, maybe another few months or so sideways. I totally see it happening. I can't ignore the fact that you have a big giant hammer candle over here so far for a month. So I'm not that bearish on TSM, but do I want to buy TSM? Probably not. I just don't like the fact that it went up like 8 candles. But this thing can keep going because it back tested the Tenkin and Tenkin is rising. It's no longer overextended, both in terms of Bollinger Band and in terms of the Tenkin. So I can see this thing keep beasting, but I just don't know whether or not it's going to make that much more gain like it did from like 80s all the way to like 160s. Like it basically just double from here, right? I don't know whether or not it's going to continue to make like that exponential gain moving forward. Potentially. It's a bullish chart, but it's a little bit overextended. I just would be, a little bit more cautious about entering it. But I could be wrong, like price just, they don't have to listen to me and just keep doing whatever they want to do. Broadcom, a pretty big cap stock on the S&P 500. Looking very, very bullish. Again, initially I was thinking that maybe it was a little bit overextended, away from the Tenkin here when prices all the way up to 180s. I was like, nah, it's not going to keep going like that. Sure enough, came back down, back tested 130s, hold support so far. Looks like a very beautiful dragonfly so far. Month's not over yet. This is a monthly candle. Month still got 2 months, right? But I like the fact it came back down, back tested. We're no longer for like too far overextended from the Tenkin, which is going to allow price to go up further if it shall it want to do that. No longer overextended from the monthly Bollinger Band either. It's just a nice bull trend. I mean, I don't think this is as overextended as TSM because you do have a couple of like red candles. You did go on going sideways here a little bit, and so I'm not as like worried about it as I am with TSM. This is also a much larger market cap compared to like TSM as well. So anyway, this is a pretty good look. Now, do I want to buy Intel? Let me just find support over here at this horizontal zone that dates all the way back to what, like the Great Financial Crisis. I mean, I don't like, it's even having a hard time closing at the big giant volume shelf over here on 21.5. It's like price got down to 20 to the bottom of this volume shelf over here. It bounced from that, sure. But like, let's say if I look at the Ichimoku, I'm trying to find support in a different time frame. I cannot. You are having a little bit of a katana downwards over here, so it's a falling knife. I do worry about Intel. If you look at a higher time frame, like we're like way underneath the cloud. Like there's no like sugarcoating this, I guess. I'm trying to find like whenever I see a stock like that, I'm trying to find, can I time the bottom? Can I see where the bottom is going to be at? And do I see any, first of all, like whenever you have downtrend like that, do I see any bullish divergence? You're not going to have a completion of a downtrend as far as I'm concerned. It can be, but before I'm convinced that there is a potential of a trend reversal, I want to see some kind of bullish divergence between price and the RSI. Now, I do spot a bullish divergence here. Price goes down, RSI goes up slightly. I do sense that there's a slight bullish divergence here. Now, does that mean that price won't go down further? No, it can still go down further on bullish divergence. But if you want to catch a falling knife, I think there's a possibility, that no confirmation at all, that it may want to start forming a little bit of a bottom. It can keep going down further. But I find that to be a little bit of positive development. So no, I'm not going to enter Intel, because if I was going to enter, I'll probably end up, sticking with NVDA. I'll probably end up maybe going with AMD, right? They're to me, they're at this point, not financial advice. If you're a knife catcher, if you enjoy the fundamentals of Intel, feel free, right? You are a pretty important volume shelf support over here, but not financial advice. You can absolutely try and pick the bottom of this. I'm seeing a little bit of positive signs here. It might be the bottom, but there's no guarantee. So be careful, right? You can see that bullish divergence here on the monthly time frame pretty well here too. But you still have bearish cross that's coming, and you can have a katana. You can push price down further a little bit more before finding a bottom. Anyway, that's Intel. Lastly, I want to talk about the Superman computer, Superman Cat Inc., SMCI. I'm conflicted, guys. I mean, like, RSI looks exhausted. Initially, I just thought it was going to be a little bit of a bull flag over here. But it ended up breaking underneath of it. Like, it did not do what it did over here, and the trend does look more exhausted. And you really have a big giant volume up here, so this really does look a little bit more like a blow off top to me. It's not able to hold support here. So I personally, I would not buy into SCMI because things just look very, very much overextended. Now, I'm going to show you several reasons why I would not buy SMCI. I'm going to show you one reason why I would. Right? But overall, I just worry this trend is a little bit overextended. I don't know where the support's going to be. Like, you can look at different Fibonacci levels, you can try to figure things out, but I don't know where the support's going to be exactly on a horizontal line level, right? Because it already broke underneath the Tenkan Kijun over here. If I look at higher time frame, 2 months, 3 months, like, there's not really any support up here. Now, there actually, I take that back. There are two reasons why I want to enter SMCI. But so far, it's kind of breaking underneath a lot of these like Tenkan support that I look at is way above the cloud, right? So I don't know if I would really want to do that. Another thing that is not really favorable for it is broken underneath the weekly cloud, right? And back testing it right now. So the cloud has turned from support here to resistance, right? That's also something that may be a little bit more worrisome. Now, the two reasons why I would enter SMCI, reason number one is you look at a higher time frame, you look at a 3-month chart. So far, we have 2 inside candles here so far, and if we have a third inside candle, and it might end up going down a little bit further. I don't know how far it's going to go. And this, again, these are 3-month candles, right? It could potentially bounce from here, sure, because the inside candles basically means that whenever you're done consolidating sideways over here, the primary trend is going to be continuation, most likely, right? But the issue is, I don't know, like, you might have a third candle, which basically means that you have, and this is like the July and August candle, right? You have a third candle with Q4 2024 where SMCI continues to go down, and I don't know how far down it's going to go, and it would still be a bullish trend, right? So at this point, you're trying to catch a local bottom, and there's a potential for SCMI to continue its bull trend, but I just don't know how far it's going to be. I can see that playing out. The other reason why I might buy SMCI is the Bollinger Band. If you look at the 20-month moving average, it's been a little bit too far extended from the 20, right? If it got close to it, and if it bounced from here, if it keeps dragging the 20-month moving average to keep going up, then you still have a very nice bull trend. But just like I was saying with NVDA, you have maybe a little bit of a trend exhaustion over here. I think if you ask me, I think that most likely you're going to have bullish continuation. I just don't know how far down it's going to go. Most likely you're going to have bullish continuation. This could be it, or it can go down a little bit further. You can even break down the 20-month moving average, and the trending moving average can keep pointing up. Or it can come back down and test the 20 moving average for reals around like 450, right? I can see that happening. I don't know how far down it's going to go. It's still a bull trend. I cannot count against that. And the Bollinger Band is so far overextended. I just have a hard time seeing it plummeting all the way down. It's going to find support somewhere over here. I just don't know where. And after it does that, it's probably going to go a lot further, but it's not going to make this explosive move up anymore. That's what I see of SCMI. Overall, though, if you look at the semiconductor sector, if you look at SMH is just basically doing what you expect it to do overall as a sector. From the previous cycle high to the cycle low, it broke above the previous high. After it got rejected here, you came back down, find support, you bounce. Where did it end up finding, you break through over here, right? Where did it end up finding support at the 1.618? Where did it get rejected? At the 2.618, right? It's really doing what it's supposed to do. Came back down, where is back testing 1.618? Did it find support there? Yes, right? Same thing if you look at the Ichimoku cloud, you find support at rising Tenkan. Looks like this thing wants to keep going higher. And there's not really like any concern about it being overextended anymore. I think you can keep going, push above the 2.618 and keep going higher. That's what my thoughts on the overall sector is. I'm still pretty bullish. I just don't think that you should expect having that exponential move, like with NVDA making a 10x. I just don't think that with the market cap being that big, that would be like a realistic expectation for the next 12 to 18 months. But I do think that it's going to go up a lot higher in the next 12 to 18 months. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Have a good one. Bye.